this? Are we live? Are we live? We are live. I think we're live. Okay, we're live. We are live. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. So today, I'm going to make a video on why the elites support welfare and why you should as well. You know the deal right now. I always start the streams with a song of some description. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's unprofessional. I don't know. But I like music. What are we going to have on? Perhaps. Let's have a look. What am I going to put on? I'll tell you what. We'll put. I've put that on before, but I'll put it on again. I like this song. It's a good song. Really good song. I like it. Actually, yeah. Right, that will do. What was that? Could have done with you last night. Okay, Hemi. Right, so today we're going to talk about welfare. The reason why I'm going to talk about welfare is because while we're all talking about drama and infighting and all that sort of stuff, you know, what's going on with Chris? What's going on with Mark? What about Barkley? All this stuff. The elites of our society, they're having a different kind of conversation. They're having their own, to use technical jargon, they're having their own passive revolution. Now, I've talked about passive and popular revolutions in the past. Now, throughout history, throughout human civilization, there have been times where it's been necessary for societal change. Now, when there's been societal change, It's either gone two ways. It's either gone through the route of the elites changing society so that they can keep their power when they're faced with uncertainty, or the population revolts against them. Various examples of this would be, if we were to talk about a good example of a passive revolution, that would be the Industrial Revolution in England. At one point in England, we had feudalism, and it was necessary in that society for them to move forward in regards to the Industrial Revolution. They had to do that for their survival as a nation. So, because they knew that was going to happen, they were like, we're going to have an Industrial Revolution. How are we going to do this? So how it happened is that the elites, in of themselves, had a revolution within their own people. So they would negotiate with each other, and they'd say, we need to move away from the feudal model. We need to move into this liberal democracy, and we need to have separation of church and state, and we need to move forward into liberal capitalism. That's what we need to do. They had that revolution, and because they did it within themselves, they kept their power, and instead of being lords and kings and stuff like that, they became business owners and CEOs and owners of big corporations and stuff. That's how they kept their power. An example of a popular revolution was the French Revolution, or the Tsarist Revolution, the Bolshevik Revolution, in the sense that the elites in both Russia and France, in the French Revolution, refused to evolve, refused to progress. They thought, right, we're keeping this feudal model still. And as a result of that, because they didn't have that passive revolution and move forward, the population revolted against them. So that was an example of a popular revolution, that the masses revolted against them and changed society to be similar to the United Kingdom. And what's happening currently is that there's currently a conversation amongst the elites in our society in regards to universal basic income. The elites of our planet, I say planet, like the entire planet, they realise that a lot of people are going to be losing their jobs in the future. A lot of people are going to be losing their jobs in the future. And unfortunately, when people are not comfortable, they become angry. In fact, let's put this video on. I found a video, and this is what the elites are talking about. Oh shit, wrong one. Watch this already, but we'll watch it together. Watching YouTube together.
Thank you. The hardest time to talk at a conference is just after lunch, when you'd all like to be sleeping, especially after listening to lovely music. We are in the middle of a global transformation. What that means is we're seeing the painful construction of a global market economy. And in the past 30 years, neoliberalism has fashioned this system. Markets have been opened, and yet intellectual property rights have ensured that a tiny minority of people are receiving most of the income. And we've seen that the world's labor supply has quadrupled. What that means is an extra 2 billion people have become part of the global labor market. And that has put huge downward pressure on our wages in Europe and in the United States and Japan. And they won't rise in the foreseeable future. And underneath that growing inequality and growing insecurity, a new class structure has been taking shape in the world that we intellectually, politically, and as citizens must confront. At the top is the plutocracy and oligarchs and an elite receiving more and more of the world's income with vast power. Underneath is a salariat, people with employment security and pensions and paid holidays and things like that, shrinking in numbers and worried about their sons and daughters. And then the old proletariat, the working class of the 20th century, which is shrinking everywhere. Underneath that is the precariat. And underneath the precariat is a lumpen underclass of people dying in the streets prematurely. Now, the precariat consists of millions of people defined by three dimensions. First, they are having to habituate themselves to a life of unstable labor and unstable living, a sort of existential insecurity. They don't have any occupational narrative to give to their lives. A narrative that would say, I am becoming something. I am something. They don't have that. In addition, they have to do a hell of a lot of work for labor, work that is not remunerated, is not recognized, and is ignored, but unless they do it, they will suffer consequences. This is the first class in history whose level of education is above the level of labor they can expect to obtain. And this creates what I call the precariatized mind. You don't know what is the best thing to be doing with your time. Should I do this or that, or a bit of that, or retraining, or networking? You're constantly faced with uncertainty. And that's the second aspect of the precariat. The precariat has to rely on money wages. It doesn't get access to
It's important to realise that people like Guy Standing, when he does lectures like this, he's really speaking to the elites. He's really pointing it out simply to them. He's really saying, listen, you've got millions and millions of people in the United Kingdom, or globally, or if I could make it more relevant to us, in the United Kingdom, you've got a lot of people, the precariat, who haven't got stable work, who haven't got like a narrative in their life. They're alienated from their own people. They can't get a stable wage. They're dealing with immigration. They're unemployed. They've lost their job because of the pandemic or whatever. And they're starting to get pissed off. And if you don't do something about it, well, they're going to come for you. So we'll listen to his solutions, and it's clear what his solutions are.
non-wage benefits like pensions and paid holidays, medical leave, etc. It has to bear the risks themselves. And as a consequence, not only are they facing a life of economic uncertainty, but they're always on the edge of unsustainable debt. One mistake, one accident, one bad decision, they could be out in the streets. It's the reality of the precariat. And the third aspect is that this is the first emerging class in history that is systematically losing the great rights, civil rights, cultural rights, social rights, political rights. They don't see in the political spectrum parties or politicians that represent their interests and aspirations. And they're losing economic rights because they cannot practice and do what they're qualified to do. It's the reality of the precariat. But this is not an accident. It is desired by global capitalism, and it will not go away. The tragedy at the moment is the precariat is split into three factions. The first faction is what I call atavists. These are people who are looking backwards. Their parents or their communities used to have occupations of pride and status. Miners, dockers, steelworkers, car workers. But they don't have that. And they have a sense of relative deprivation of a lost past. This part of the precariat does not have a university education, and therefore they tend to listen to the neo-fascist populists, one after the other.
See, he's warning them. He is literally, as Nordic says, is he warning them about the revolution? Yeah, he is. He's just straight up saying to the elites, he's saying, listen, elites, if you don't deal with this situation, right? If you don't deal with the fact you've got, because this is true, by the way. Like, the reason why we've got like a big nationalist movement going on is because, you know, a lot of white working class people in England, more specifically, they're no longer comfortable anymore. It's obviously always been the case that there have been nationalists who are very wealthy, who are very comfortable in their life, and they've always been nationalists. But it's also the case that a lot of people are becoming nationalistic or even ethno-nationalistic because of the negative consequences of policies that our elites have put into place. Like, our elites have been bringing in cheap migration from abroad. Yeah, they've been bringing cheap labour from abroad, and you know, a lot. It's all very well if you're top of the hierarchy. This doesn't negatively affect you in any way. You don't see any negative effects from this. You still live in your mansion. You still have cheap labour and lots of money. But if you're working class or the precariat, as he likes to put it, migration's very bad for you. Like, it's all very well if you're middle class or upper class. You know, you don't see the negative consequence of it. But if you're working class or the precariat, migration and you know, Muslims coming into your country, and you've got this loss of culture, alienation, lower wages, and a lot of these people are looking for answers, and they're looking for answers from us, from me and you, and a lot of nationalist thinkers. There's a lot of nationalist thinkers out there who are saying, hey, listen, we have got answers to this, and you know what? We do have answers for them. We do have answers for them. We can sort the problems out for them. They're our demographic, and do you know what? If you talk to white working class people in England and in Europe, we do have the best answers for them. And Guy Standing is pretty much warning the elites. He's saying, if you don't deal with this, people like Nasbol Phil and whatever, even Mark Collette, they will be giving answers to these people. And if you don't, and if enough of them join up to these people, they're going to take your power away from you. So you better start listening. And do you know what? The elites are listening. The elites are quite willing to accept. The elites are sometimes quite willing to concede. Sometimes they will say, do you know what? Maybe we do have to give these people welfare. Maybe we do have to give them universal basic income. Keep them comfortable so they don't cut my fucking head off or put me in a gulag or put me in give me a shower, an early shower. You know, maybe I will have to do that. But we'll get on. We'll see what Guy Standing says. You'll notice, by the way, that he ignores these people when he talks about them. But let's go on.
And today, a lot of elites and prominent people are getting worried. I think we should encourage them to be worried. Let them have nightmares in their worry. I've described some of their nightmares in my new book. I have a few copies outside if anybody's interested. The second faction of the precariat consists of the migrants, the Roma, the minorities, the refugees. People I describe as nostalgics because they have no sense of home. No home here, there, anywhere. They keep their heads down because they have to survive. But every now and then, as I saw outside Stockholm last year, the pressures get too great and they explode in days of rage. And you cannot blame them. The third faction in the precariat consists of what I call progressives. They go to college, they go to university, their parents told them they will have a future. And they come out and they have no future. Except around their necks they have debt. Debt stretching into the future. This part of the precariat may be suffering from anomia, a sense of desperation, a sense of alienation, and a sense of anxiety, but they are also suffering from something I want to convey to you. Anger. That anger is justified But fortunately, this part of the precariat will not turn to neo-fascists, nationalists. They will not vote for Brexit or for Trump or for Marine Le Pen.
You'll notice, by the way, that Guy Standing is quite willing to just ignore, like, he's noted, he quite rightly so pointed out that there's a lot of, white working class people in England who are feeling the negative consequences of these neoliberal capitalist policies. They're experiencing lower wages and a loss of culture and identity, and they're becoming nationalistic. And he's completely ignored them. He's like, yeah, fuck them. They're idiots. Get rid of them. Not willing to answer them. Not willing to address their concerns. His main strategy is to support these sort of shitlib. It's these like the Vaush sort of person, if you know what I mean, like the Destiny sort of person who is just as much a precariat as normal white working class people, but they've got shitty cultural idea, and there's a reason why he wants to support them, because they're the people who will keep the system going. They will keep the system going. If you're a shitlib, if you're like pro Black Lives Matter, multiculturalism, diversity, gay rights, transgender agenda, all that sort of stuff, if you support those cultural policies, you pretty much still support the economic policies, pretty much. We'll get to his solutions. It's quite revealing.
But they're looking for a politics of paradise, a new progressive politics. And it is our responsibility to re-engage, politically speaking. And the reality is that the 20th century income distribution system as such has broken down. It will not come back. We have to build a new income distribution system based on different principles. In that regard, we need to fight for a basic income for every man, every woman, and every child in our society. It is affordable, without a doubt. It is not going to do the things the critics say, because we do want to improve our lives. So if you have a basic income, you will not become lazy. We have done pilots in various countries, and people who have basic income work more, not less. And when they work, they're more productive, not less. But a basic income encourages the good virtues of any decent human being. People who have basic security are more altruistic than others. They're more tolerant of others.
So basically, he is right. He is right. Like in the sense, well, he isn't right. He's wrong in the sense that they're more tolerant. I think what this guy is trying to do, and what elites are trying to do, that like he's fully acknowledged that a lot of people are becoming more nationalistic. They're becoming nationalistic because of the negative shit that's happening to them in their life. Like, it's all very well, like when you're comfortable in your life, when you've got food security, free internet, free Wi-Fi, X Factors on TV, you can get a wife, you can get a partner, you can get children and all that. Most people will not want to revolt against the system. They'll be quite comfortable. They won't push the boat too much. That's why typically normies, like what we describe as a normie, they don't really rock the boat too much, because they don't need to rock the boat too much. Typically, people become revolutionary or radical in their political ideology when it's negatively affected, when the current system is negatively affecting their life directly. When it's negatively like, it's all very like, listen, if you're living a comfortable life, you live in a nice neighborhood, you've got a decent living, you've got a wife, kids, and all that, you're probably not going to be against immigration. Probably you're going to never see the negative consequences of immigration, or Muslims, or even the people with the small hats. You're probably not going to rock the boat too much. You're going to be quite happy. You're going to be a normie. Your politics are going to be very simple. However, if you're a white working class person and you've directly experienced the negative consequences of immigration, for example, you've experienced struggling to find a job, you're working in a factory or something where you're surrounded by foreigners, your children don't have friends to play with because everyone's a foreigner in your neighbourhood, you live amongst Muslims or non-whites, as Paddy Bickle says, they support UBI and welfare, etc., because they are status quo. If nationalists gain power, we'll do so. We should do something similar. Yeah, we should do something similar. You got to preserve the status quo. If you want power, sometimes you have to fucking nigga. If you want power, you've got to keep the status quo. If you don't keep the status quo, if you don't keep people happy. If you don't keep people happy, they'll revolt against you. And this man's quite aware of this. He knows it's going to happen. He's already acknowledged that we exist. And he's right to acknowledge we exist. And the elites know that you exist. If you're an ethno-nationalist, they know you exist. And their strategy, their grand strategy, right, is to give you money. And you might think, what the fuck, they're going to give me money for being a racist? It's like, no, their goal is to give you money. And as they keep you comfortable, you are less likely to be revolting against the system. You're more likely to forget about politics. You're more likely to fucking focus on other things, They don't want to lose their power. They don't want it to go back to nationalism. Because the reality is that if we have an ethno-state, a lot of these elites, it doesn't matter what their ethnicity is, they're going to be in a lot of trouble for what they have done to our people. And they fucking know they're going to be in trouble as well. They know that if we ever got power, that they're in trouble. And they know they're in trouble, so they're going to keep you fucking pacified with universal basic income, giving you £300 a week. And to be honest, I don't know if that'll work or not. It could work. That's that. And to be honest, I suppose there's quite a lot of you in this chat who would, if they did give you £300 a week, you probably wouldn't be in these circles. A lot of you would fuck off. A lot of you would just give up. You'd go, yeah, I do want nationalism, but I get £300 a week. I'm living quite comfortable. I've got a nice house. I've got a nice wife now, and everything's going around all right. You're going to be less likely to revolt against that system if they give you that money. And they know that. That's why they want to do it. It's not that they want to do it, they've got to do it. Because if they don't do it, if they don't give you welfare, more people are going to become nationalistic. They will. If they don't give you welfare, right? If they don't give you universal basic income, more people are going to become nationalistic, because we've got real solutions. We have got real solutions. We've got real economic solutions. We can deal with the negative effects of immigration. We can say, right, no more immigration. We're going to invest in our own people. We're going to have welfare as well, but our welfare is about getting people into proper jobs. That's what I believe in anyway. I believe in a welfare state. I believe in helping people, but I believe in helping people into real jobs, real careers, and getting them into proper jobs so they can be productive. And also, I can give them, as nationalists, we can give them a proper identity. Because capitalists, they can't give people an identity. They give people a manufactured materialist identity, don't they? Like being a goth or into some sort of brand or whatever, TikTok or whatever. They can't deal with the identity problem. If you're a nationalist, you can give a person an identity. You can say you're an Englishman, you're a Christian. This is who you are. You're not just some isolated individual that's only there to make people money. You're more than that. We're part of a collective and we're working together. This man, let's listen to what he's got to say anyway.
They feel more inclined to engage in society as a human being and as a citizen. It is something that brings out the good qualities of the human being. We need to move in that direction Because without security and without building a system with everybody having security, the inequalities and insecurities will increase the probability that someone like Donald Trump will win at some stage. Because too many people will be suffering from insecurity and losing the capacity to be rational. That is a real fear we should all have. But we want to create a better society. A basic income would promote security. It would also give us a greater sense of control over our time. We need a politics of time for the 21st century. We need to enable people to feel in control of their time, to have a slow time movement, where you indulge not just in your labor, but in different forms of work, caring for your frail relatives or your children or your community. This sense of control of time is something that any good civilized society should want everybody to have. It's a question of empathy. Put yourselves in the position of the other and want for the other the same things as you would hope he or she would want for you. That's where we are today in the 21st century, so that that little child, when he or she grows up, has the security we would all want him or she to have. But in addition, we need to take back the rental income from these plutocrats and oligarchs that are running the world and create the mechanisms that I describe in my book.
What's funny is that he's obviously preaching this to sort of like the upper middle class, and the upper middle class will believe that what he's proposing, the upper class are against. It's not the case that the elites of our society are against what he's proposing. The upper classes of our society are fully on board with what he's proposing. They fully understand that they have got to take some sort of they've got to make some sort of compromise. They understand that if you're going to have mass migration, a lot of people are going to be pissed off. Like, it is going to create nationalists and more nationalists, and more people, or more Marxists, more people who are going to control them. So they're like, okay then, I still want cheap labour from abroad, I still want migration, I still want globalism, I still want LGBTQ, I still want trannies and whatever, I still want all of that, I still want cultural diversity and liberalism, but I do understand that if I do have that, there's going to be a lot of pissed off people. If there's a load of pissed off people, how do I keep them from shutting? How do I tell them to shut the fuck up? How do I stop them from becoming nationalistic? Well, it's quite simple, isn't it? You stop them from becoming nationalistic, well, the vast majority of them, by paying them off, keeping them comfortable, keeping them passive, yeah, giving them bennies, giving them free shit. Is this an effective strategy? I think it will be. I honestly think that the majority of people, if you just give them enough money, they'll shut the fuck up. They'll shut the fuck up and just won't do anything. Yeah. And, this. They just want to preserve the status quo. Like, the elites of our society are quite aware that you exist. That if you're a nationalist or an ethno-nationalist, they know you exist. They know that you are pissed off with immigration. And they know that you're pissed off with liberalism and things like that. And they're figuring out ways of how to shut you the fuck up, pretty much. And one way of shutting you the fuck up is by giving you free shit. They're going to give you a lot of free shit. And maybe that'll work. Maybe it won't work. I don't know. What is this accent? Irish? Could be. But here's the thing, we should still support welfare, but not for the same reasons. Like, the elites support welfare, like universal basic income, because they want to keep you passive. They want to keep you passive and not revolting against them. That's why they want welfare. I want welfare for a different reason. I believe that we should have a security system in place so we could help our fellow people and get people into gainful employment, get them into a proper job. It's a different reason. But like there's sort of myth that there's this myth that like the left, the reason why they support welfare is because they're like socialists or something. It's not because of that. Like the reason why the liberal left support welfare is because it's a good way of keeping you in control. Because an example would be their strategy is, it's like, okay then, we've got a lot of pissed off people. We do want gay rights, we do want transgender agenda, we do want fucking multiculturalism, we do want all of these mass migration and more Muslims in the country and ethnic diversity. We want that, but we understand that people are pissed off, so let's give them let's give them money, and they'll shut the fuck up. And you know what? A lot of people will shut the fuck up. It is my belief that Lib Left are Ancom. No. Not all of the left are Ancom. What we mean by left is egalitarian, pretty much. What we mean. So not all of the left are Ancom. Like on the left, there's anarcho-communists, there's Stalinists, Marxist-Leninists, there's progressive liberals, there's democratic socialists. There's all different types of people on the left. Although they support economic policies that are right wing, support capitalism and whatever, they're still left in the sense that they're culturally egalitarian. But yeah, that's pretty much it, really. That's the end of this video. Just to sort of take it away from all the drama and all that bullshit. It's important to realise that the system know you exist, and they're planning to stop you from to kill the nationalist movement. And the way they're going to kill nationalist movements is by keeping people more comfortable. Yeah, making sure people are comfortable. And you know what? It will be more difficult for you. It'll be a lot more difficult for you to get people involved in nationalism if they're receiving more money. It will be. You're going to have a harder time. But like when you talk to normal people about nationalism or ethno-nationalism, an argument they'll come back at that as they'll say, yeah, of course, I love England and English culture or whatever. But under this system, I've got fucking 300 quid a week for nothing. It's going to be a harder argument. You're going to have harder arguments when people are reliant on this £300 from this system every week. They're going to say, well, I get £300 every fucking week. Just for nothing, just for existing. I've had a most comfortable lifestyle ever. And you'll say, yeah, but what about Muslim grooming gangs? What about, immigration and stuff? And they'll say, yeah, well, because of immigration, sure, we have immigration, but, I get £300 a week. I'm living quite comfortable. So this is something you've got to fight back against, Something you've got to fight back against. I'm pretty much done now. So, I think this sort of deals with the fact that people are waiting for an economic collapse. They think there's going to be an economic collapse. There won't be an economic collapse. There's going to be it's always managed. When the system is about to change, the elites are quite aware of that, and they know how to change it effectively, and that's by keeping people passive, giving them bread and circuses, giving them money, giving them things like that to keep them out of the way, so to speak. It's like we're currently moving to this great reset sort of thing, and we're going to have a less equal society. We're going to have a society run by global... a global bourgeoisie who are going to be implementing some sort of neo-feudal system where it's less equal. So what PC Suffering says no, there's no end to the system unless you act. Yes, pretty much. This system won't end unless you actually act. If you don't act, the elites of our society have learned throughout history of how to manage this stuff. You know, like I said, especially England. England has never really had like a revolution. Like, credit where credit's due. The elites of England have always had like passive revolutions. They've always had the elites of the society managing how they're going to change society quite well. An example would be, like I said before, when we had feudalism, it was managed quite well, where they moved away from feudalism to like the Industrial Revolution and liberal democracy. They managed that quite well. There was not much revolts against the system, and it managed quite well, and they progressed to that. And we've had liberal democracy for a few hundred years maybe, and now they're moving towards this like global neo-feudal model where the elites of society have permanent power, political power, and the way that they keep that political power is by paying people off, pretty much. So yeah, you know, you might be waiting for an economic collapse, but you know, there's a lot of economists working with the elites, and they will help them, you know, to make sure that you don't revolt in terms of, well, materially anyway. They're going to keep you quite comfortable materially. They're going to make sure that you've got money and housing, and if they can't give you a job, they'll make sure that you've got money and just keep you nice and secure in the background. Yeah, you'll be nice and secure and comfy in the background with your £300 a week, and then, you know, they'll also culturally be encouraging you to not have children. You will disappear. You know, you will disappear because you won't have children. Your legacy will die off, but at least you'll have your money and your bennies and your PlayStation 5s, and you'll be okay. That's their plan. Their plan is to just quietly get rid of you, quietly keep you in the background playing on PlayStation 5 and whatever. That's what you're going to be doing while they change society. Yeah, ethnically and economically, they're going to keep you. They're going to keep you in the background playing PS5 and talking shit on Telegram, talking drama on Telegram. That's what you're going to be doing. You'll be doing that. You'll be talking shit on Telegram, playing PS5, playing Minecraft, eating your fucking tendies. Yeah. And then you'll reach about 50 or something, and you'll be like, oh shit, I've got no children. And the elites will be good. Elites will be like, yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for not having children. Now I don't have to worry about you now. Now I can replace you. I can automate society properly. Because that's their goal is to pretty much, because of technology, they no longer need you anymore. Okay? They don't need you anymore. Most people are completely fucking, they don't need you. Yeah. This is really why they capped child benefits to 2 kids to stop large families, but using migrants as a smokescreen. Yeah, hello, punk bastardo. So yeah, pretty much, this is the dilemma. This is the dilemma that the elites have got right now. They want to be more productive. They want to make as much money as possible. They no longer need you anymore. They don't know. The vast majority of people are no longer needed. They've got AI. They've got the technology. They've got automation. They're going to automate society pretty much. You need to fuck off now. That's their main thing. Their main thing is you need to go the fuck away. It makes no sense to invest it. From their perspective, as greedy, individualistic bastards, it makes no sense to invest in you whatsoever. Yeah, if I was a billionaire, right? If I was a billionaire and I was like, right, I'm only motivated by profit. Why in the fuck would I invest in English people? They'd be like, well, what's the point of that? I can just bring in cheap labour from abroad. They're easier to manage. They don't speak the language. They're more reliant on me because I can kick them out if they don't agree with me. You know, I don't have to train them up because they get trained up abroad. You know, bring them in. I can control them easier. Job's a good one. And also, you've got all these people who are working class, middle class, whatever, and you're looking at them and you think, don't really need them anymore. I've got the technology, I've got AI, I've got automation, I've got the machinery, I don't need them anymore. It's more profitable that they just fuck off. So how do I get rid of them? Well, the way I get rid of them is by, you know, giving them free money for a bit, giving them some money for a bit, encouraging them not to breed, not to have children, And then in the future, when they're 50, 60 and they've got no children, fuck it, I'll even give them free healthcare and a pension. They'll die off. Wicked. Keep that fertility rate really, really fucking low in England. I'll keep that really, really, really fucking low. Give it a few decades, and it'll be nicely managed. I've just literally genocided like a load of people without even like picking a gun up. I didn't need to physically genocide them. This is the thing with genocide. You don't necessarily have to come round to people's houses and shoot them, or stab them, or send them to a camp. You can implement certain policies that encourage them to not breed as much and keep them away from society. Yeah, and you might think, but this is going to cost them a lot of money. It's like, well, if you're a capitalist at the top of the hierarchy and you want to get rid of a lot of people, it's a cost analysis thing. It's like, you've got option one, you do nothing. If you do absolutely nothing, then the people are going to revolt against you, and you're going to be in shit, and you lose all your power. End of. Option two is that you just automate everything and you don't pay people. Then you've got loads of fucking people revolting against you. You lose all your power. And the other option is that you just manage it. You manage the getting rid of them in a rational way. You say, here's your money, £300 a week. Enjoy yourself. Play on PlayStation. Stay at home. Save the NHS. Yeah, stay at home. Save the NHS. Buy some stuff off Amazon. Treat yourself. Buy some stuff off Amazon. Treat yourself. Yeah? Wank over pornography. Yeah? Do that. That's really good. Crack on. You do that. You have no children. You become weak. And you're easily manageable. And then, a few decades later, you're gone. You're fucked off, aren't you? So if you get... Yeah. Just crack on, lads. Crack on, lads. Play your PS5. Right, I'm going to put a song and then we'll fuck off. What song am I going to put on? Oh, shit. Free broadband. Give you free broadband. So if you start getting free shit from the government, if I'm telling you right now, if you start getting free shit from the government, if the government starts saying, here's universal basic income, here's free broadband, it's over. It's over. You're like, oh, fuck, it's over. Okay, whatever. Like, great, I've lost everything. Amazing. The fuck is that? Let's click that. Put that on, that's good. I'll probably get banned, don't give a fuck. Put that on. Good tune. I'm going now anyway, so enjoy your day. Let's finish it on an apt song. Let's finish it on an apt song. This is an apt song. Let's finish it on this. I think it's a good tune. Unironically, banger this is.
Oi, if I go home, accept your universal basic income, guy.
Sorry, but this is a fucking banger. I don't give a fuck what you say. So listen. I know it's a fucking Jew song, but it's fucking meant. It's a banger, absolute banger. Plus, this is what the elites listen to every day, mate. When they're planning to fuck you, genocide you. That's what they play. Fuck off, bye, enjoy your day, do something productive. Get off the fucking internet, breed with a woman, right? Breed with a fucking woman, okay? This is what your job is. I don't give a fuck what you do, right? But please, for the love of God, find a woman, have sex with her and breed with her, for God's sake, right? It is absolutely your imperative to breed as much as fucking possible. Create loads of fucking white people, right? And that's what your job is. That's your homework. Your homework for today is to breed with as many women as possible. Inseminate and pray. That'd be a good song, that would. Inseminate and pray. That's what you're going to fucking do. Your homework is to breed, find a fucking skill, get a trade, become self-reliant as possible. And that's what you're going to do. It's your homework. You've got one day. To get a trade. You've got... Is that a JF Garepi quote? You've got one day, right, to get a trade, breed with a woman, and what else? Get off the fucking internet. That's what you got to do. And if the government tries to give you bennies, I don't know. If they try and give you bennies or an Asian waifu, don't fucking do it, okay? Not under this system, anyway. Anyway, fuck off.